I think Jeff had mentioned in a previous dev stream, she's kind of techie. You know, I got a lot of messages of, is she like VaUbaN's sister or something like that?
Yeah.
I would say maybe like her niece, maybe. That's a little closer. Well, she is, in fact, like tech-based. It's not exactly in the same direction, so her, do run out of powers?
Okay.
The next station will be Fortuna 69.
Okay. Let's get something out of the way first. Is Odalisque another tech frame like VaUbaN? Yes. Is Odalisque being designed by Pablo, who is arguably the only one at dEaD who can make Warframes both fun and powerful? Yes. Is most of Odalisque's kit literally just things that the community has suggested for the VaUbaN rework? Yes. With all of that in mind, does that mean that Odalisque is VaUbaN 2.0? No. I'm honestly pretty amused at how many people think that Odalisque will kill VaUbaN, similar to how people thought Gauss would kill Volt before he was released. I don't know if you've noticed already, but Warframes with a similar theme have been a pretty common occurrence for a while now. Just the mere idea of people saying,
I have crippling depression.
over how Odalisque is similar to VaUbaN is entertaining, if you ask me. Some of you might be surprised at the fact that Odalisque doesn't infuriate me in the slightest. If anything, the only thing I dislike about Odalisque at the moment is how her fourth ability is basically a rewind power similar to Tracer from Overwatch and Echo from League of Legends, and I enjoy both of those games about as much as the average 85-year-old adult enjoys being told they have dementia. To clarify, do I hate Odalisque? No. I'm actually excited about her, which is rare considering that the last time I was excited over a new Warframe release was for Hero, who came out almost 3 years ago. Ignoring the fact that Odalisque won't be released for at least another month and, like Pablo said on stream, her abilities will likely be changed, I'm actually worried for Odalisque, not VaUbaN. It's fine for Odalisque's idea to be something similar to DPS VaUbaN, but honestly the only part of Odalisque's abilities that even remotely convinces me that she's a damage Warframe is her passive, which is absurdly good. Although the passive itself looks good, the rest of her abilities is what gives me cause for concern, because if Odalisque does not receive any further changes to her kit, I honestly feel like she'll be underpowered on her release. Her first ability is a good example. Although the defensive bubble part of it sounds great, the damage portion looks good on paper, but in practice I think that it won't be good unless it has a crazy range, can apply /procs, or has a really high damage scaling. Part of the reason why Warframes such as Mesa are amazing at damage is because they can mow down literally rooms of enemies without any kind of setup or charge up, and because most Warframes do not possess thrown abilities like Octavia or VaUbaN. Thrown abilities obviously have a delay to their activation, because they're not instant like almost every other Warframe ability that exists. Judging by the description, I'm going to assume that Odalisque's first ability is basically an explosion that leaves behind an area of effect that can either apply procs on enemies such as Slash, or can stun or slow enemies who enter it. That's fine, but if the damage is low or if it doesn't have Slash, I don't think that using this ability to kill will be a realistic idea, because this ability reminds me a lot of VaUbaN's Photon Strike, which has the potential to deal high amounts of damage, but it struggles against enemies who have armor. As she is now, Odalisque has no method in her kit to strip enemy armor like VaUbaN can, so giving her a thrown damage ability with no way to get around enemy resistances doesn't sound like a practical idea, unless they just let it deal tons of damage. Mesa and Saren can basically ignore enemies with armor because they're monsters when it comes to DPS, and this type of problem extends to Odalisque as well, if you ask me. Unless she has incredible scaling, I think her defensive bubble will be used more than the Explody grenades. Odalisque's second ability confuses me a little bit.
The second ability is, I call it just basically BFG right now, so big fucking gun.
Yep.
This is a
It's word cloud.
family-friendly.
He's got
Oh,
word cloud
family
material.
Okay,
It's
you're
in the
on
word.
the-
No, it's in the world. Yeah.
I mean, fracking crowd.
Yeah, okay.
Fragging.
That is
fracking.
basically, you drop like a big, kind of like a turret. I don't want to say turret because that kind of implies that it's a thing you put there and it just fights for you for a while. It is not that. You drop it, it aims at anything that's in front and shoots like boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
It's done and gone. So it's not. I just don't want to give the impression that it's like leave it and it just plays.
Put it in place.
If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. I really don't know why Pablo was hesitant to call this a turret. This is literally a turret, only with very short duration judging by how it sounds, and that's fine, assuming that the cost isn't over 50 energy, given that this is a second ability. Besides that, this ability comes across a little bit as redundant, similar to how Tesla Bank is better for damage than Photon Strike. I understand that this ability is intended to be dropped directly in front of enemies in order to maximize the AoE scaling damage, but the question is, if you're that close to a crowd of enemies, why wouldn't you just throw your grenades instead? I mean, it's been stated already that her grenades can apply CC, so considering that you have a ranged ability that deals damage, applies CC, and is cheap, why wouldn't you use it in this scenario? Just like how Odalisque's grenades could potentially suffer struggling against armor, I think that Odalisque's turret could potentially suffer from being outclassed at close range by her grenades. Again, unless Odalisque has really good base damage or really good scaling, I'm not sure if dropping a turret that pops off a few shots will be worth using over a triple grenade throw. The third ability basically being a resource generator is fine, but considering that it's basically a free source of energy, running Arcane Energize is basically mandatory already, as you can get more energy back than you spend, similar to Trinity. There's nothing wrong with that, but this gives the impression that Odalisque will have a very camping-heavy playstyle, which I'm not sure is a good idea in certain areas such as Fortuna or the plains of Eidolon. Otherwise, it's fair to say that all of us look at a generator ability and think,
it's free real estate.
Her fourth ability being able to reset the player back to specific energy and health values is fine, but I'm like 75% sure that this will get nerfed within a month after release, because I don't know if you've noticed, but having energy in Warframe is pretty important, which is why a full set of Arcane Energize is expensive to acquire. If Odalisque has the ability to spam all of her powers and then go back to maximum energy by resetting herself over and over and over, I'm highly certain that this will get nerfed, as this would basically be infinite energy. I wouldn't be surprised if dEaD makes it so using this ability multiple times in rapid succession makes it restore less and less amounts of energy and health, because I could very easily see this ability being used over and over just to make the most out of the get all your energy back for free mechanic. Otherwise, I'm actually pretty hyped for Odalisque to come out. I look forward to playing her on release, but more importantly, I look forward to how Pablo will change her design. Thank you for watching.